Hello, critical thinkers. This video is honestly going to be very rushed. I don't have a lot of time, but I wanted to get out to everyone out there the news that there is a grand jury that's going to be hearing evidence in the Robert Brooks homicide that's going to occur on February 10th. That's occurring in Oneida County, New York. I'm going to be going over a couple of articles because both articles have a little bit of information and different information that I think that's beneficial for the audience. I also am going to be going over a letter from an organization that is trying to get reform and oversight in the New York State Department of Corrections. And in that letter, there is a statement from William Fitzpatrick that is just being reported. This letter is on the freelancenews.org's website in an article they published yesterday. But I wanted to read a portion of that letter and William Fitzpatrick's statement. So, this is part of the problem that there isn't, I feel like a lot of information is coming in. It's not very much centralized. Mainstream media is not reporting it. So I'm going to be giving you a few different articles. I'm going to be reading from a letter, and hopefully this will all come together. Ultimately, this is indeed progress. To be honest with you, I'm cautiously optimistic that these killers will be brought to justice. Um, I'm cautiously optimistic, but deep down, I'm really a pessimist. So I'm going to be going over this information. Ultimately, yes, it is progress. It is a step in the right direction. It's 2 months later. That's disappointing, but ultimately, there is some movement. But as of right now, February 5th, there are no arrests, which hopefully we will see after the grand jury hears the evidence and decides to indict everyone involved. So here are the articles I'm going over, and we'll take it from there. So this first article is from the Times Union. Article title: Robert L. Brooks' death ruled homicide as grand jury set to review case. The writer is the managing editor, Brendan J. Lyons. Albany: the death of Robert L. Brooks, who was beaten by multiple correction officers at Marcy State Prison in December, has been ruled a homicide, and a special grand jury in Oneida County is scheduled to begin reviewing evidence in the case next week, the Times Union has learned. A copy of the autopsy report that was issued by the Onondaga County Medical Examiner's Office last week determined that Brooks died as a result of compression of the neck and multiple blunt impact injuries. We all saw in the video one of the corrections officers grabbing Mr. Brooks by his neck and lifting him up. And you also saw the multiple, punches, kicks that Brooks endured at the hands of these correctional officers. Although blood tests revealed Brooks had synthetic marijuana in his system, the autopsy does not indicate that it was a factor in his death. Maybe I'm being a little bit sensitive, but I have a problem with this line right here. It almost seems as though they're trying to take jabs at Robert Brooks. If the synthetic marijuana was not a factor in his death, why even mention that in the article? But again, I'm in a bad mood today. I could be wrong. I could be overly sensitive, but I don't think I would have mentioned that in this particular article. But that's me. Let's move on. The case is being handled by the Office of Onondaga County District Attorney William J. Fitzpatrick, who was named a special prosecutor last month after the state attorney general's office recused itself from the criminal investigation, citing a potential conflict of interest. The appointment of Fitzpatrick office, which was authorized by a judge, may become a point of challenge for any defendants in this case. Interesting. So sometimes you have to read between the lines, right? And, maybe this is nothing, this statement that this is something that could be challenged by the defendants. I don't know exactly why that would be a point of challenge, that there would be a special prosecutor. Maybe this is foreshadowing something. honestly, my background is human resources. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a politician. I don't know why this would be an issue. This writer, I hope he would have elaborated more, but it's not there. So this is something to look into as to why that would be an issue. Jared A. Woodfork, by the way, the name of the chief assistant district attorney is not Gerald, it's Jarrett A. Woodfork, and that's in the website of the Oneida County DA. A couple of sources have gotten this name wrong. I don't know why, but on the website it's Jarrett, Jarret. Just for those people who like to Google people and take a look at people's background. So Jared A. Woodfork, a chief assistant district attorney in Fitzpatrick office, is leading the investigation for that office. Sources briefed on the matter said that Woodford is not making any offers, including plea bargains, to the officers and medical staff members who witnessed the incident but did not take part in the beating of Brooks. So just my quick thoughts about this. We've seen this in previous cases where the DA or assistant DA says, "Oh, we're not going to be offering any pleas. We're going to, go for a full prosecution," and that's tough talk. That may be the case now, but we have to see down the road what actually happens. So, as of for me, this is really tough talk. But let's hope that's the case. But you have to take every case individually with the evidence that you have. I mean, I hope these people get prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, maximum charges, obviously, but it's tough talk. Hopefully that comes to fruition. Continuing with the article, it's unclear whether prosecutors will pursue homicide charges in this case. The grand jury is scheduled to begin reviewing the case on February 10th. So this statement here is unclear whether prosecutors will pursue homicide charges in the case is something that is concerning for me, because this is obviously a homicide. He was killed by those officers. He died as a result of those injuries. So why would you not pursue homicide charges? I hope this is truly not a case of foreshadowing, that the media knows something that we don't. In a way, I think, it may ultimately, these officers may be charged with battery. They may be charged with aggravated assault as opposed to homicide. But this statement here is troubling for me. It's something that everyone who's listening right now, keep this in the back of your brain bank, because if something happens down the road, we can make reference to this. Let's continue. 17 Corrections Department employees, 4 sergeants, 11 correction officers, and 2 nurses have been suspended and are facing discipline. Anthony Farina, who was among the 5 officers shown using physical force on Brooks, resigned immediately following the incident. We know that. The beating of Brooks, 43, was captured on body cameras worn by several officers. His death has galvanized many lawmakers and prisoners' rights groups that have called for an overhaul of New York's correctional system, as well as the closure of the medium security prison near Utica. Just my quick feedback: I don't believe in closing any of these correctional institutions. Don't close them. Take out the bad apples. Take out the leadership. Obviously, we need prisons in the US of A. That's the reality. But get rid of the poor leadership and the complacency in the Department of Corrections, and also change these collective bargaining agreements that make it very, very difficult for docs to fire corrections officers. Moving on, when the Attorney General's office filed court papers requesting that the case be handled by Fitzpatrick office, they had noted it is well-resourced to handle this complex and large investigation. The decision by the Attorney General's office to recuse itself was based on its ongoing work defending civil lawsuits filed previously against 4 of the officers involved in the beating. But the Attorney General's office also subsequently recused itself from representing those officers and others in the civil lawsuits in which they were accused of similar incidents of excessive force. So this is another big thing that's mentioned in the article. So my interpretation of this sentence is that The New York State Attorney General, it had recused itself of investigating this murder. That's one thing we know. But this person is also reporting, excuse me, also reporting that their office they've recused themselves from the civil lawsuits. So that's big. That's something that, again, I want you to keep in the back of your brain, that Letitia James has recused herself from the civil cases. If I'm interpreting this correctly, this is something that's big. Keep this in the back of your brain bank, okay? The FBI and U.S. Justice Department, which has a civil rights division that handles criminal cases involving law enforcement misconduct, including instances of excessive force, were also reviewing the case, but have given no indication they will intervene. I'm just going to skip ahead. I want to go over the most important pieces. So the autopsy report gives a time of death as 3:52 a.m. on December 10th, roughly 6 hours after the beating. We know this is, pardon my language, we know this is bullshit. We know that Robert Brooks died the day before at Marcy Correctional on December 10th. And my prediction, which I could be wrong, my prediction is this is also something that will be part of the cover up, because we saw on body cam footage, we saw a nurse attempting to revive Mr. Brooks. Also on the body cam footage, we saw an individual going for a defibrillator. The preliminary autopsy by the Onondaga Medical Examiner's Office had determined that a preliminary cause of Brooks' death may have been asphyxia due to compression of the neck. That initial report, according to court records, also found he had a fractured nose, bruises on his face and extremities, and soft tissue hemorrhages on both sides of his neck and in his genitals. Effing brutal. And we saw Anthony Farina stomp on Robert Brooks' genitals, which you're really sending a message to that individual. You want to hurt them and cripple them. Horrible. So that's the end of the article. The writer is Brendan J. Lyons, the managing editor. I'll pause for a quick second and to jump to the other article. Hey guys, I'm doing this video in real time, so I decided to do a pivot. I'm not going to be going over the freelance news article. I will still link the article in the video. I definitely want you to go and check out their website and check out the article, but just in the interest of time and to avoid redundancy, I'm just going to go ahead and jump to the press release that was on the freelancenews.org. So this is the press release that is in the article that I've linked in the description. And this press release is from an organization called New York State Docs Federal Oversight. The founder is Michelle Bonet. And this is a press release sent out to the general public. And the biggest piece of information that I want to go over with you, because a lot of us thought that there have been no public statements from William Fitzpatrick and the office. It seems like there were statements made, and this press release here makes reference to a statement from the special prosecutor, William J. Fitzpatrick. Honestly, I think a big error on the office of the Onondaga County District Attorney, William Fitzpatrick. They should have posted a statement on their website. No press releases about the Robert Brooks homicide on their website. I think they should have put this on their website, and it could have assisted. Okay, so I'm going to read this special statement. It says, quote, "I want you and your group to know that I have assigned two very experienced prosecutors to begin the investigation. And despite being in trial, I am briefed by them every day. My chief ADA, Jared Woodfork, met with Robert's family on Friday and will be keeping them completely apprised of our strategy in proceeding. We are also in contact with our federal partners." So just going over that statement, someone has been assigned to investigate two individuals, one involving his chief ADA, Jared Woodfork, which is good. And also in the statement, there's reference to federal partners, which would be the FBI and or the Department of Justice. So continuing on with the statement, I think the initial concern is why there have not been arrests. The answer is that having been assigned the case less than a week ago, I want to review the case thoroughly. Oh, let's stop it right here. So he was based on this statement. It says that having been assigned the case less than a week ago, that means that this occurred within the first week of January. They were given the case, I believe, on January 2nd. So the statement must have been produced by January 9th, give or take. So continuing on, I want to review the case thoroughly and not make any precipitous moves that could later prove fatal to a successful prosecution. For one thing, the ME, medical examiner, has not formalized an opinion as to the cause of Robert's death, and that is essential. If I pursue homicide charges, arresting a group of individuals at this point for misdemeanors, in my judgment, serves no purpose, as the officers have been suspended and trivializes Robert's death and only benefits the possible targets and not the prosecution. So this is something, in my opinion, I don't agree with. They could have been arrested a long time ago. They're currently not arrested. You could have arrested them for assault charges, based on what you saw clearly, and then you will upgrade those charges. But again, I'm not an attorney. I don't have a law degree. I'm a humble human resource professional who cares about justice. That's my opinion. They could have done arrest. But, let's see what happens. It could be that, his strategy will prove correct. Time will tell. Let's continue. We will not delay the case. We will keep Robert's family totally informed. And my only goal in this case is to get justice for Robert. Please feel free to reach out to me at this email address. So there you go. As of February 5th, 2025, we have word of the grand jury being summoned next week in Oneida County. They will be hearing evidence. We don't know how long that will take. That could take a couple of days. It could take a week. It could take one day. We hope to have justice. Again, at the moment, we have no arrest of these individuals, of these corrections officers and staff. No arrest yet. They will be coming, hopefully, next week after the grand jury hears evidence. If you found value in this video, please like the video, share the video to help with the algorithm. As many of you may know, the Robert Brooks murder is not a popular topic on YouTube. A lot of these videos are being suppressed, so please share the video and get the word out about these updates. If you appreciate the content and you like the substance, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I appreciate the viewership, the subscribership. My goal is to give you honest, direct feedback and news and dig deeper from what the mainstream media is telling you. Take care. God bless. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.